This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon. The time being 4:45 p.m., I'd like to call the December 3rd, 2020 meeting of the Tilton Select Board to order. Before we get started, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you want to speak. Otherwise, the background noise will interfere with the meeting. As chair of the Tilton Select Board, due to the COVID-19/coronavirus crisis, and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-24, this board is authorized to meet electronically, and these reasons shall be reflected in the minutes. Please note, there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that A, we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone. Members of the public wishing to attend this meeting electronically may call the following conference call number at 1-866-899-4679. The access code is 817-026-717, followed by the pound sign. B, additional public access by video or other electronic means will be available as follows. We are using the GoToMeeting platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate remotely using your smartphone, tablet, or computer at global.gotomeet.me/town-of-tilton/selectmen. This information can also be found on our website at tiltonnh.org under meeting schedules and agendas on the Board of Selectmen. C, we are providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting via telephone, conference, and by GoToMeeting. And instructions are provided on the town website at tiltonnh.org and also at the town kiosk. D, we are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting that a member of the public wishes to speak or be recognized during any public comment or public hearing. If you are a member of the public listening in and have questions, please write your questions down. And at the end of each agenda item, I will try to remember to ask if there are any questions from the public before we move on to the next agenda item. Please state your name and address before you ask your question. E, we are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please email web@tiltonnh.org, which will be monitored during the course of the meeting. F, we will adjourn the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. Constantino.
Here.
If I might interject just shortly, there's another thing here. When each member states their presence, also please state whether there's anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Okay, Constantino, let's start.
Constantino present. At this time, there is nobody, but I'm expecting 2 people.
Dog present, 2 dogs.
Jessamine is present, and there are people in the house, but nobody anywhere near me. Pyra?
Ira here and one person in the next room, another expected.
Scanlon?
Scanlon present, and I am by myself.
All right, thank you all very much. Given the unusual circumstances, we will dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. I would like at this time to bring the minutes of November 19th to the floor for discussion. Are there any changes, amendments, or additions? Okay, hearing none. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of November 19th as presented. Is there a second?
Ira second.
Constantino second.
Okay, we have numerous seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Constantino, yes.
Bog, yes.
Yes. Jessamine is yes.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Okay, there you go. At this time, I would like to make a motion to accept two donations. The first one is from Lowe's, who provided us with Christmas decorations. And I guess I'll do them both together. And the second one is from Tractor Supply, who donated many things that are going to help spruce up the town and its buildings. The approximate value of these donations is $1,100. I have a list of the items that were covered by that if anybody would like to hear it, but is there a second to my motion?
Constantino second for discussion.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion?
Yes, my understanding is that is for decorating the Tilton Police Center only for Christmas decorations.
Although I read somewhere that they had gotten some donations, I didn't see anything on here that said police station. So, yay. The police station will look very spiffy this holiday season.
I just would like to comment, Chairman, if I could. There is a competition among the facilities at Tilton, if you hadn't heard. So it's Town Hall against DPW against the PD. The Selectmen's office against the meeting. So we feel it's good and fair, Chief, that you got significant donation, but we're up to the challenge.
So if we vote no on this, that means that they have got to come up with a creative way themselves to do this.
That's exactly right, but I'll just say we're up to the challenge.
I think they challenged Liz and Beth, and Beth took on the challenge, and they're looking to give Town Hall, I guess, a little bit of competition this year.
But that's the cheating way out. Joe is trying to say something, but he's muted.
Oh,
Okay, well, good for me. I don't know how that happened. I would like to thank Lowe's and Tractor Supply and in all seriousness for their generous donations to the town of Tilton. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, starting with Pat Constantino.
Constantino, yes.
Bog, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Okay, much thanks on that. This time I'd like to recognize Tim Pearson, who has some important information for us.
Excuse
Tim?
me, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
we have
Yeah.
one other we need to accept. That's from $1,000 from Bob McPherson.
from who?
It's on the agenda.
I make a motion, we accept $1,000 from Bob
Okay.
McPherson for the police station.
Hog second.
Second. We have a motion and a second, and I apologize for missing that one.
Con-
There any other discussion?
Constantino
Who's Bob McPherson? Just,
owns Home Depot.
okay.
And this is for the new police station.
All right, thank you.
Call a
Is there-
question.
Okay, is there, okay, all those in favor, Constantino,
Constantino, yes.
Hog, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
And once again, thank you ever so much, and sorry I missed that one on my list. The next thing is Tim Pearson, still. Tim?
I'll be very quick. I put it in my report to the board. It's regarding our tax anticipation note for 2021. We've been able to negotiate a $3 million plan. Joe, that happens to be your phone that causes the feedback for your microphone. Yeah. So in any event, we've been able to negotiate. We had a $3 million line this year. We're looking for a $3 million line in 2021. And we were able to negotiate a not to exceed 1% for 2021. So it doesn't have to be decided tonight, but I would like to act on that soon so that we can get that in place, for the new year. So, it's an outstanding rate, and that's going to be able to, with that in place, I'm going to be able to reduce the interest expense in the budget that we have.
I make a motion at this time that the town initiate a $3 million line of credit tax anticipation note with Franklin Savings Bank for 2021 with a rate of interest not to exceed 1%. Is there a second?
Hog second.
Constantino,
We have several seconds. Is there any discussion on this motion? $3 million. Oh my God. Hearing no other discussion, I'll take a roll call vote. Constantino,
Constantino, yes.
Hog, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
And there you go, Tim.
Okay, thank you very much. I will refigure the projected interest for next year and adjust the budget accordingly once I got that probably tomorrow. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next thing on the agenda is quotes for moving the police department. The information has been provided to the board in a board packet in Google Drive, and that includes the scope of work, comparison spreadsheet, and the 5 quotes. While the companies were provided a scope of work, you will notice that they did not bid apples to apples. The range is 4,500 to 26,800. Who'd like to start? Pat?
What are we doing, Joe?
We're doing the moving at the police station bids.
So I looked at the bids in the board packets, and I'm looking at the comparison on them, but I don't see the full comparison on 2 of them. So I saw, let me get my paper here. I have the paper for starving artists, And now I can't find it. Okay. Let me just go through my papers here. But I saw the scope of work. I read the scope of work. I'm familiar with that. But then we have a disparity because I don't see everybody's quote, but yet in the comparison on the short page, it gives us the quotes for in the board packet. It gives us the hold on, board packet, Selectmen's meeting. All right, it gives us the comparisons to Able Moving, R.J. Crowley. I don't see any paperwork on R.J. Crowley, and I don't see any paperwork on Central Lakes Region Movers in the paperwork. I see Starving Artists for 4,000 to 5,000, and the 26,000 for Ray the Mover, and Able Moving for 10,490.
So three of those together, and the two other quotes came later. So there's one packet that has 3 quotes in it.
Okay, so where's the other one packet that has 3 quotes in it?
Correct. And it would have been the first 3. I think Starving Artists came last, and I don't have the, I can, hold on, I can take a look.
Okay, I got it. All right, I got it. All right. So my other question is, I was concerned with what the scope of work. It said to relocate all filing cabinets, boxes of files, Canon, copier, and other materials, to assemble all workstations, desks, and shelves and cubicles. Then on one of them, under, I believe it's the Able one that quoted. It was they had said $300 per cubicle. How many cubicles do we have that they're actually moving? Does anyone know that?
I think that the chief is on, and he could probably answer that question, because those cubicles, I think, were part of what he got donated. Chief, can you hear us?
So how many actually? Because it says 6,000. I can't even imagine that there's that many cubicles.
Yeah, I think she's right. That was the question I had too.
Is the chief, is he not?
I can get a hold of him.
Chief,
So-
are you there? Is he not paying attention?
I think he's trying to get on his phone.
Oh. Be nice to be in the
Tim,
new
I had to
PD.
call in.
Okay. So, Chief, our question is, on one of the quotes, it tells us about $300 for comparison for assembling cubicles. Can you tell us how many cubicles? It says cubicles build $300, 300, and then 6,000. How many cubicles do we have to move?
So there's one cubicle and then 3 small desk setups and 3 large desk setups. And each one of the movers was brought to Agway to look at those so that they would be able to see what's involved in putting it all together.
So it's $6,000 for one small desk, one cubicle, 3 small desks, and 3 large desks?
And they may have asked them to put together the conference room tables. Those would be the only other 2 items I could think of. But the lieutenant did take all the the bidders to Agway to show them what needed to be put together.
It says load and deliver office furniture, load and deliver file cabinets, load and deliver workstation cubicles from 67 East Main Street. That's $4,000. And then file cabinets is another $4,000. And the office furniture is another $4,000. So that's $12,000 from 67 Main Street. Then you have new materials delivery. This is new material. It says cubicle build, $300, $6,000 total. Can you answer that, Chief?
Is that the Ray the Movers quote?
Yes, it's Ray the Mover quote. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why they quoted so much to put the desk together. We did talk about it, and we wanted to have them quote putting this stuff together rather than having the officers or highway try to do it. And for some reason, Ray the Movers came in way higher than everyone else. The other quotes seem more reasonable.
But Chief, you're still not answering my question. Or maybe you did and you're not. It seems like you're unsure of the answer that you're giving me. That's all you know of that they're moving is 3 small desks, 3 large desks, and a cubicle and 2 conference tables. And that's going to cost $18,000 to move and assemble.
No, so the assembly part is just what I mentioned. The move part is everything that's there, and they all got a chance to look at all the tables and chairs that are there. Not everything needed to be put together. The rest of it just needed to be moved. And so they should have quoted moving everything that's at 67 East Main Street, but just putting together 3 large desks, 3 small desks, and a cubicle, and then 2 conference room tables.
But is everybody else reading what I'm reading here? Because it says to move, it literally says load and deliver workstation cubicles, $4,070 from 67 East Main Street. And then 6 men, 2 trucks, load and deliver file cabinets, $4,070. 6 men, 2 trucks, load and deliver office furniture, $4,070. Load and deliver boxes, $4,070. Load and deliver $3,410. And then new materials delivery, $895.10. And then cubicle build, $6,000.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Jump in.
So, the lieutenant and the captain were really the ones who were involved in this. They were the ones to meet with the different movers and talk with them. I tried to get them to attend the meeting tonight. I think one is out of town, and I'm not sure what happened. Chief, maybe, I don't think, and Chief, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he was really involved in this. The other 2 were, and so, I was hoping to get them on tonight. And what I had said to Joe is, if you don't need to make a decision tonight, because I have a lot of questions too, just like you, and I'm not sure. I think you need to have the people here who were actually meeting with these movers. Chief, chime in if you think I'm wrong or not.
Sure, I agree. So the lieutenant took on this project of getting the quotes, and he took each one of the movers to 179 East Main, Town Hall basement for file cabinets, and 67 East Main, and then he took them all to the new station. So they all saw the project identically by the lieutenant, and they all had the scope of work. The lieutenant might be able to answer some of these detailed questions. I'm just not sure why the movers came in so much higher than everyone else. But I think I agree with Jeannie. We don't have to, I wouldn't think we would have to make a decision this week on it. And I could try to get the lieutenant to give us some update by next week, even though he's on vacation. I did leave him a voicemail to call me, but he might be out of cell coverage.
Are there any other questions about this? Because I'd like to see more information myself.
Peter has his hand.
Peter, sorry.
Can we ask the lieutenant if they all were given the same criteria to break the bid down and show item by item? That way we can do an apples to apples. When we see holes, if they get it early enough in the week, we can contact them and say, you forgot this portion. Is that on purpose or was it an oversight? It's just seeing the end number doesn't tell me a whole lot.
That was what the scope of it was. The purpose of that was is that they should have been and they didn't. So I agree with you. How do you control that? You've given them all the same information and they all did it differently.
Okay, so
Such a wide range of cases.
okay, so can we get some answers to these questions so that we can talk about this next week?
Yes, and if you could, if you have questions, if you could shoot me an email, and then I will get them to the lieutenant so that if he can't be here, we will have those those questions answered for you. And you probably saw in my report, if you've read it, that we really do have a little bit of time now because the move-in date got pushed back to the new PD. So, like I say, if you send me those questions, I will get them to the lieutenant and have answers for you for next week.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeannie. Unless there's something else to discuss on this subject, I'd like to move on to Selectmen's reports. And the very first up is Eric Pyra.
All right, hold on. I got my notes here somewhere. You were too quick for me, Joe.
Sorry about that. Time marches on, Eric.
Here we go. I got it. Just I guess some more observations than anything. On the town website, can we take down the RFP for the sale of town property?
I think,
Tim, but I'm sure we can.
can
Yep.
I make a suggestion first?
Sure.
I was going to bring it up under mine, but I think we first need to make a motion to unseal the minutes of the non-public so that we can release the information that we actually did sell the property. That's still in the sealed non-public information.
Would you like to make a motion, Pat?
So I would like to make a motion to unseal the information on the sale and the sale of the property of the current PD police station. Release the minutes of the meeting.
That would be November 6th.
I guess so. Whatever that meeting is, Joe. I don't know the date.
It is November 6th. I just wanted to get that in there.
Okay, thank you. November 6th.
And I'll second the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, starting with Selectman Constantino?
Constantino, yes.
Bog, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
The motion carries.
So,
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
so
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
now that it's made public, can you please give the information or have Jeannie or somebody give the full information of what's transpired and then we can take it off the website?
Sure. Jeannie, because I don't have the exact information right in front of me.
So are you asking me, you want to know what it said in the minutes?
Yeah, what transpired, that we did in fact sell the PD and the amount and so on.
Who we sent it to.
This doesn't have to do with the sale. This has to do with representing a real estate broker. The
No.
service.
Yeah, I think we understand that it was just Pat. This came up and she wanted to get the non-publics unsealed. So we can go back to you, Eric, as soon as we get this
It's
resolved. So we had a non-public, and the purpose of the non-public was to talk about the sale of the police station on East Main Street. And there was an offer made on the property. The Selectman Jessman moved. It was seconded by Selectman Constantino to sell the town-owned property police station for $315,000 to JCB LLC and/or their nominee. You know, we had some discussion about whether or not to leave surveillance, the generator, those sorts of things. But in any event, the motion passed and the offer was accepted. And that was the gist of the non-public.
So there you go. We've sold the police station for $315,000. It's now public knowledge.
so
And because it's now public knowledge, Eric, would you like to continue?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Had a little time, went through was going through some of the stuff on the website, and I noticed that the sewer commission is using the town hall downstairs for their December 22nd meeting. I thought town hall was closed, but along that lines, on the town calendar, it states that they meet the third Tuesday of the month, which this month is December 15th, not the 22nd, which is on their agenda. They don't match. But why is there no option to attend virtually?
I missed that, Eric. I was looking at something else. Who has this on their agenda?
The sewer commission.
They shouldn't, so I think we need to notify them. Well, actually, Peter's here. So town hall is closed. So
I can relay it, but bear in mind, we are a different governing body with equal powers.
but the selectmen are in charge of town hall. And
Okay, I'll wait for the other discussion tonight, but I will relay it.
I'm back.
Okay, is that it, Eric?
Did you guys hear me? I got cut off there for a second.
I missed it.
I got cut off, so I didn't hear anything after I said what I said.
Oh, well, right now, there was talk about the selectmen in charge of town hall. The sewer commission has equal powers, and we're going to be discussing it further down the line.
Okay. And then just a quick question. If it snows on Saturday, will we no longer have a dump truck available to us?
I didn't understand that, Eric.
If it snows on Saturday, will we lose the dump truck for the parade?
Well, at this point, we're projecting snow. They're decorating the truck to be in the parade.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. John Scanlon, you're up next.
Hey, yeah, so I guess a couple things. Maybe we need to take some look in light of the accidents on East Main Street, Cumbie, and that some safety issues that possibly we could come up with some ideas to try and make it a little bit safer. So we want to keep that in mind. The other thing is if you remember back on, let's see, it was the 13th of February, the Historical Society was asking about the statue and building the base, and we discussed it. And one of the things was is that we were in the process of remodeling the upstairs and constructing that wall, and we said that we would wait until after it was completed. So the board plans to complete the second floor project before implementing the statue and the base. So I want to see if we can start moving forward with that, and by doing that, have allow Mr. Nudd that does the cabinetry work to access the statue to take some measurements in that so he can construct the base, and then also to coordinate that with the DPW to attach it. As we said, we didn't want to have just anybody attaching that and securing it. So I'd like to make a motion that we allow that to start finalizing the mounting of the statue and building of the base, and allow Mr. McNutt to talk to Kevin and take some measurements of the statue.
We have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second it.
Second. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second. Under discussion, is there anybody that would like to discuss the motion?
So the motion is to just,
Got a lot. Look,
go ahead, Pat.
I believe, if I remember correctly, and I tell me if I'm wrong, that Mr. Nudd was going to donate this. Am I correct, John?
I believe that's true. Yes. So it wouldn't include any monies or anything or charges for it. I know it has a big following in town with the momentum on the Historical Society, the statues, and the bridge and all the stuff we've been doing, which is really nice.
Is there any other discussion on the motion?
If I heard the motion correctly, it was basically consultation designs. It didn't go to the full build with the material being donated. So I don't know if we need to amend that to include it, because I think that's John's intent.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I may speak.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, so that is for Mr. I feel terrible. It was Mr. Nutt or Nudd?
Nudd. N-U-D-D.
Nudd. Okay, that's what I thought. So he can talk to Kevin to get the dimensions and start building it. And the motion was to allow that and to coordinate it with Kevin and to allow the DPW to do the mounting of it, if Kevin will.
Thank you.
John,
Yes.
I have a question. Nowhere in your motion did I hear about where these statues were going to be mounted.
Well, they asked to have it placed upstairs on the stage and attached firmly, but it would be done by DPW as opposed to anybody outside.
So Mr. Nudd is going to make the bases for us. with the help of Kevin getting the exact dimensions. And then Kevin will secure the statue and the base to the stage where we had said before in front of the sheetrock.
That's correct.
Okay.
Good question.
Eric?
How tall are these statues?
Well, it's 4.5 feet, 5 feet now. It's under 6 feet, I believe.
Will that take away from our projector area that we use for the screen?
No.
Put it in the corners.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Constantino,
Constantino, yes.
Og, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
The vote is unanimous. The vote passes. John,
And,
have you anything else?
yeah, just, great job decorating the island as usual. All of a sudden, it just sort of appeared there, and it looks beautiful. I've heard a lot of comments. It's nice to have a little cheery entrance into the town proper here. But that's it. Just my concerns are that we should start looking at maybe some assistance for safety on this section of East Main Street. That's it.
Okay. Well, we have a DOT audit coming, correct, Jeannie? Jeannie?
So the deadline was December 1st. I didn't get all the information that I needed that would allow me to write an application that I could feel confident in. So I didn't do the application. I can follow up with DOT given this most recent accident and see if they would consider extending that date. But there was a lot of information and I needed it to be narrowed down to a specific area. And I just didn't, I don't want to submit an application just to have somebody say no. So I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't do it. Planning to do it next December, and then the accident happened. So if you are in agreement, I'm happy to call DOT and see if they would be willing to extend that date.
I'd love to, but Peter, you have a question?
In the interim, can we contact Senator Guida's office and ask to have the DOT Safety Division, whatever, look at that stretch? Because we've had 2 fatals in, 6 months? 2 pedestrian fatals, no less. So that to me brings it up a higher level.
I think we also had an additional one where the fellow who worked at AutoServe got struck by a car, and I think one of the police officers was there, kind of kept him alive. So it's been quite a few.
Okay.
And don't forget Uncle Joe in walking across there where that was the 4th one, I think.
Wasn't that down a little further?
Just
that whole road is
just a little further. Right. Yep.
I don't know if it needs more lights, more sidewalks.
Well, there was 2 down by where John is, I'm sorry, where was the wheelchair and Uncle Joe, and then just above where the intersection is, there was the 2 pedestrians and the accident with the AutoServe employee where the police officer kept him alive.
Definitely a dangerous stretch. So, Jeannie, if you could follow up with Senator Guida and make that call if you know somebody at the DOT, because At least that stretch of road needs to be addressed.
Yes, I can do that.
John?
And
John?
the other thing I just brought to the attention of the chief this afternoon, if you come out of the westerly exit out of Cumbies over by where Million Dragon is, there's a light pole right there where Cumbies puts a sign showing whatever type of coffee they are selling. It's about 3.5 feet by about 6 or 7 feet. And in order to see the traffic to pull out, you have to actually nose out into the road. So I think we need to take a look at that of code enforcement, because it is a sign and it's obstructing traffic. That maybe they could mount it high enough so that the cars can see. That was another accident that was there, yesterday.
Okay. You have something else, John?
That's it.
Okie dokie. Thank you very much. Pat Constantino, you're up next.
Okay. All right. I have, let me put my dog down here. A couple of things. I do have two things in non-public. Well, one is a non-meeting, the update on the CBA negotiations. I do have something in non-public I would like to discuss. And also, so the first thing, I was in contact with a resident up by the municipal parking area that asked and has several times asked about us opening the parking area along where Patty Cohen's house is now, but the house is sold, where the handicap parking space is, along the gate, along the guardrail on that side. But we have since allowed Onion's employees there to park there. Her concern is that we do not have enough parking in that area for overnight parking, because a lot of people in Ideal Hall and across the street are using the overnight parking, and there's not leaving enough room for the new apartment, which is now turned, the Patty Cohen's house, which is now turned into apartments. We have Louise Longcar's rooming house, an apartment next to her, which is in between Frenette's and Longcar's, and we have Cecile Roberts' place, and then plus we have over Gabriel's and over Polly's. So if we put all of those together, we used to have just 37, and I think adding all of that up now, it's increased considerably. I told her I would bring it to the board. She very insistently asked to come to speak to the board, and I said we would never turn a resident away from talking to the board, ever. But she really doesn't go out at night. She wanted to come in and speak with Jeannie. I said that I would really like to bring it to the board, present it to the board about the concerns on opening that up to overnight parking, because that would relieve some of the relief on that area. But I would also like to see if we can't bring it back to Officer Gilman, who's very knowledgeable about the parking in that area and has done some studies and changes in that area on overnight parking. So perhaps maybe that's where we should start. And then if she wants to talk with Jeannie about her concerns, and then Jeannie, if there's something different that I'm not saying here, bring it back, and we can start to work on it. And maybe we need to make some changes. I mean, we did allow Onions to use that park, I think 6 parking spaces. I'm not sure. Help me out if that number's incorrect. No? Okay.
You're asking me, Pat. I don't know that. I didn't.
No, I was asking the board.
Okay.
I thought it was 4, Pat, but I can't recall exactly.
Yeah, I can't recall. I know it was more than 3, so I do know that right now I think there are 5 apartments in that the old Patty Cohen's building. So that increases it considerably because if you figure each one has a vehicle, that increases it. Okay, moving on. Yeah, I'm speaking at the Rotary on December 15th and also speaking with the RSVP program and putting word out to the Lakes region area for trying to recruit volunteer bus drivers for our bus. We're in the position now where we're turning away people in locally in Tilton, and I'm not even going to entertain opening up a memorandum of understanding at this time when we can't keep our own in Tilton. We need more bus drivers. I would like to see 3 to 5 in the area to comfortably uh, comfortably what the word I'm trying to uh, keep all of the requests that are coming in and not have to say no to them. Last week we had to say no to 3 because our other bus driver, there's only 2, there's myself and Dave, and he had appointments that couldn't take him, so that we had to say no to 3. And then when we say no, they call the volunteer driver program, and you have to allow a little bit more time for the volunteer driver program, so it's a catch 22. If you don't have that time and they don't find a driver, then they have to reschedule their appointment, and it gets to be very difficult for them. So I don't want that to happen. So I think that's going to be it for me. We'll talk about the non-public and the other thing in a non-meeting CBA. Thanks, Joe.
Okay, thank you very much, Pat. Next up is Selectman Fall. Peter?
Question for the chief. When the police does details with lane closures, do we have stop slow paddles for them to use? Sewer has them, DPW should have them.
We do have them, and they went through the training on it.
Well, they weren't using them on School Street, and when you wave your hands, depending how you wave them, it can get awfully confusing where stop and slow. And the new ones, they have little red lights on the stop sign and little orange on the slow, so the alerts the pedestrian, the drivers from a good distance.
Okay. Yeah, if they have flaggers on the detail and they're using the paddles.
Just the 2 officers today. One of ours,
if it's
one
just,
from.
Yeah, well, I'll take care of it. I'll let them know.
Thank you. That's it, Joe.
Okay, thank you, Peter. I'm up next. And I would like to say that the winter parking ban started on November 15th and remains in effect until April 15th. No vehicles may be parked on town streets between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. through April 15th. Town Hall, the police department, the Department of Public Works, and senior centers are closed currently, and they're due to reopen on December 7th. I'm suggesting that everything remains the same until January 11th, and we can discuss it at our January 7th meeting on whether to extend it again. Is there any objection?
I have just one. And we have Windy Hill. I believe it's Windy Hill with 10 people for their annual meeting that are meeting on one night in between there. I think it's December. Hold on a minute. I can get you that information. At the senior center. And it's after the time that you had said. Hold on.
proposing to keep them closed through the 11th of January, with the exception of the AA meeting if they've complied with our.
12/17 is when we said yes to, well, that was after this was after the COVID thing, Joe, so it was after the December 4th. So we said yes, it's 10 people, and it's their monthly meeting.
Is there anyone here who would be not in favor of that?
I am for fair. So if we open for one, we open for all. We close for one, we close for all.
So that means you're not in favor, right?
Well, my other question is, Public Works closed, so does that mean now that we're coming into winter, residents cannot go pick up sand?
What?
They don't have to have any contact with anybody at Public Works to pick up sand. They
I'm trying to
shouldn't be
figure
having.
out. I'm trying to figure out the motion. It's so vague, it can be interpreted multiple ways.
John has
I
his
just
hand up.
want, John,
Yeah, I can agree with Peter, but I believe we said all town buildings. Yeah, we can't just, their monthly meeting, I understand, but they can do it virtually or, the same way that everybody else is. It's not a good time, and we can't just say, well, this one's okay and that one's not.
When we made the motion, with the exception of the AA group, just so you know that,
Yeah,
and it was
we did.
and we only said till December 4th. 7th, I'm sorry.
okay. So, I technically didn't make a motion though, Peter. I suggested that we leave everything as it is until January 11th. If you have a specific motion beyond that,
There's no sense to present a losing motion, so I'm not going to present one.
I have one comment I'd like to make, though.
Pat?
Just so you know that the Friday night AA group has chose on their own to go virtual. They're not meeting at the senior center.
All right, that takes care of that part.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to extend the closure of all town buildings to January 11th. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Scanlon.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion?
So you're saying they're closed for appointments? They're just closed. You just said town buildings are closed. So can we be more specific?
So what I would suggest is that you need in place what you have, because what the board had talked about last time was that you were going to close till December 7th, and you would revisit this on this date, this meeting, to decide if it was feasible to open the buildings back up again. So what I suggest is that you just keep in place what you have in place now, which is the town clerk tax collectors open only, masks and social distancing. Town hall is closed except for appointment only. Sewer commission, we can have that discussion. DPW, their building is closed, but they're still open, accepting trash when they normally do. The PD is closed. So it's basically what you already approved a couple weeks ago.
And senior center is open for the meals.
Correct. So everything stays the way you voted on a couple weeks ago. It's just
okay. Let's start over. I would withdraw my motion. I would make a motion at this time to continue the policy that is currently in place, and I would remove the stipulation that AA gets to meet on Friday nights. I think it was Friday nights. So is there a second to that one?
I'll second it for discussion. We just have that small Monday night AA, that's it.
Monday nights, yeah. But AA is meeting virtually, right, Pat?
That's the Friday night AA group. That's the larger of the two groups. We have two
Oh, there's
groups
two groups.
because
Well, that was,
we have a small Monday night group that's no more than 10 people. It's on Monday evenings.
and that's being allowed now.
That's correct. They started on November. They started the November 23rd. They just started.
Well, then that would be included in my motion as to keeping in place what we're already doing. Is there any other discussion on this motion?
So I will just let Windy Hill know that they cannot meet on their monthly meeting.
Okay. Peter, do you have anything to add?
I couldn't hear Pat's comments. I dropped signal, so I don't know anything she said about the second AA meeting.
Pat?
So there are two AA meetings going on at the senior center. The largest of the two, which is Friday nights, which has been going on now for a little over a year, they've chosen to go virtual, and that's been about a week or 2 weeks now. This will be 2 weeks. And then we have the Monday night group, which is only a very small group, up to 10 people. And they've just started renting from us, and that's November 23rd they started. So that will continue so far, if permitted.
Any other comments? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Constantino,
Constantino, yes.
Bog, no.
Jessamine, yes. Eric,
Byron, no.
John,
Scanlon, yes.
the motion carries. We'll discuss it again at our January 7th meeting. The 2021 budget is coming around really fast, and we need to start reviewing and voting on the 2021 budget. And I'd like to start that process as our next meeting. Tim, if you could provide us with up-to-date figures and whatnot at that time so we can begin.
Be happy to.
And details on the departments? Yep.
Absolutely.
And I haven't heard it said here, and maybe it's just me and I missed it, but we're having a parade. It's a reverse parade. It's going to be held this Saturday at the Tanger Outlets. It's going to be a reverse parade where you'll be driving through the back lot area, which you can access off Sanborn Road, which is Route 132. You drive in there and you can drive right down the middle of the parade. And that area will be one way. 132 will be the only access point. And that'll be from 4:30 to 5:30. Should be big fun. And I certainly hope to see everyone there. Perambulation. Peter, you and I are scheduled to do perambulation, and I want to get that underway. It'll require an entire day, because we have to walk the boundary. And I'd like to start that in the next few weeks if that works for you.
Depending when, yes,
Okay, well, I'll be in touch with you on the side if we could set up a time to go and do it.
that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
John's
And,
waving.
pardon, John?
I think you
John?
forgot me.
I think I forgot you too. You should have been the second one. I thought we did you, John.
No, he wants to perambulate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I'm
No, by
available,
all means.
and I'm available any weekend day if that works for you. I'll make myself available.
Well, I'm thinking about a Sunday, but we'll all get on a conference call or something coming up here real quick and see what dates are going to work. There's some wet ground and to go through, and might be better to wait for a little bit of a freeze. But we'll discuss it more directly. The last thing that I have on my list of things is we've experienced a heck of a tragedy here in Tilton. We lost a number of individuals to the COVID virus in the last week. It's not good. I would just implore you, please wear a mask. It's the best thing we can do right now. It's not perfect, but it's something, and it's all we got. Wear your mask. That's it for me. Is there anybody from the public out there? No? Okay. Next up is the town administrator's report, and take it away, Jeannie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you all have soon got my weekly update. A couple action items. As a follow-up to the November 17th board meeting, I forwarded you on November 24th the notes relative to conveying Tilton money to MB Tractor. And so I don't know if you all got a chance to look at that. If you have any thoughts about whether you want to have a warrant article on this or how you want to move forward. It's just an item that's outstanding. And if you have any interest in doing this, I just need to let MB Tractor know, and we need to start working on warrant articles. So I'm guessing I'm trying to get a sense what the board wants to do with this.
Okay. Pat, would you like to weigh in? Pat?
I'm fine.
Peter?
Well, since it only serves one property owner with multiple properties and then the town on the other side, I say let it go.
I also would be in favor of transferring the title to the road, but I'd like to see some guarantees about a easement for the fire department and some kind of a barrier between the property and the pond written into that warrant article. So that would be my only observation. Eric?
Yeah, I would want to make sure that we have access to Ice House Pond.
John?
Yes, I agree with you, Joe. We need to, and it was a suggestion that there's a fence or guardrail put there to prevent vehicles from going right down to the lawn there. The other part is this pond, it's got historical nature. There is fishing in it, although I believe it's only like hornpout and maybe whatever else is in there. But the kids go down there because it's a nice, easy place to access because it's grass right up to it. You know, you don't have to climb over bankings or that. I see people in there have shoveled off an area and ice skated last year. I've seen people with inflatable kayaks out there, and people with pets and that. My concern is that if we don't allow for a place for people to park alongside where the road is, as they presently do, we're making it landlocked, and we're taking away one of our few assets to wetlands that has a road that borders it that people can use. So I'd be okay with further down turning it over to them. The other concern is the Agway building. Their driveway does enter onto that there, or well, the former Agway building, and it kind of then you end up with like more driveways and stuff. So I'm not for turning it over completely to MB Tractor. I'd like to have public parking still along the side, a fence, and possibly turning over after 75 feet down over to MB Tractor. Thanks.
So,
Okay, Jeannie.
so I can read those us to MB Tractor, but a couple things. I believe there is access from the other side. I just drove down that way we were looking at it on the map. There appears to be access from the other side. You see that. The second thing is, if it becomes private property and owned, I think this is a concern they had expressed. It's there, you're allowing people on private property, and then they become responsible for that. So I'm not sure that that's. I'll go back to them again, because this was a discussion we had prior because of the notes that I sent you, and when I met with their attorney and went over these issues, that was the concerns that they expressed. So I'll go back to them again and tell them what the board is looking for and see what their response is. But I just wanted to let you know that their attorney had some real concerns with it's now their private property and they're being asked to let people onto their property, and they would be responsible for any accidents or, because it's private property. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'll do a little more investigation about access from the other side.
Yeah, I heard John say something about perhaps giving him the road from 75 feet in, or whatever the distance is to the Agway building's driveway. Is that correct, John?
Yes, the problem is on the other side, under the easement that was Walmart got, it didn't allow it, us public to access in there. That was the problem, and that kind of blocked that off. But I thought we have an easement already on that portion where it's grass. But maybe we should be looking at the deeds in that.
I wouldn't be in favor. I would say if they can't meet that simple criteria, I would not be in favor of turning it over at all.
And I'm guessing that's probably what's going to happen, because my recollection is they started out from the town side asking them if they wanted to take over the property, and I think it started from this side. So I think I'll go back and have that conversation with them, but I'm guessing they're going to say, fine, we're good. So that just means that we will continue to be responsible for plowing that road. And what I didn't know until we did further investigation, is that we own the road all the way up to where they have the fenced-in area. That whole road is town-owned. So we'd continue to be responsible for plowing that. And I think that's how the whole conversation started. I mean, I was just new when coming on, and I recall that since it was the one business there, the town was plowing the road down. We didn't have to do that anymore. So,
I agree.
Okay, so I'm not sure what that gives you, Jeannie, but move forward.
I will do that, and I will report back. The second item is, I talked to you a couple weeks ago about an air quality study and limited asbestos, and lead paint survey. I sent that to you on November 20th, and I wanted to find out if that's something that you want to proceed with or not. I think Tim had expressed some concerns about when we're going to be doing the work above the ceilings, what's up there. When I first came on 2 years ago, I heard something about mold in the walls. I don't know if that's true or not. That's kind of what spurred this on. And I had asked the board about it. You asked me to get a quote. Lawson Group is the one that was recommended to me. I did get another quote from another company, but that came in like at $5,600. So my question to you is, do you want to go forward with this, or do you want to think about it, or do you just not want to move forward?
John?
Second.
John?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is town hall. Is anything built before, I think it was 1977, they said, is going to have lead paint, no matter where you are. So, I mean, we can just say, yeah, town hall has lead paint, and that it's now, you know, the air quality. I think that's of concern, you know, with our ventilation and that. But we have to realize, yes, there was a mold issue, and we mitigated that a few years back, and we removed all of the original plaster wall on the whole side of the building between there and the Tilton Inn, Oliver's, and which is now Onions. And they put vapor barriers in and sealed it and removed all of that material. So if that's what people are concerned about, the mold, that was mitigated, but you know, so I don't know how the other selectmen feel.
You're muted, Tim. You're muted,
Pat?
Tim.
How about you, Eric?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we're talking about our employees that are in there every day, and I think if we need to check our employees, so let's check it out.
Pat? Okay, how about you, Peter?
I'd be for like John, I'd be for the air quality, the lead paint, you know it's there, so don't eat any chips you find.
I think that's great advice, Peter. Please put that out in a memo, Jeannie.
Yeah, let me-
That's it.
Pat?
I think we should go ahead and do it, but I don't think that we should I think we should have a choice whether they go in and dig through everything that's up there. I think that's where we should stop right there. There's an air quality that you can do, and you can judge the air quality to a certain point, but I don't think any employee is expecting us to go up and dig through attics and up and around. It's an old building. They know that I mean, I knew it when I became a selectman that that's where I was going to be. So you can't go through every nook and cranny of any building you're always going to find something. And I don't disagree with trying to figure out what the air quality is. I'm all for that.
Okay, well, I think that the quality of the work environment is of extreme importance. I know we've got an old building, but that doesn't excuse our uh, responsibility to provide a safe work environment for all of the employees that work there. Now, I don't know what kind of a can of worms we're opening, but I would have to say, we should do what we should do. And we should provide a safe working environment for the employees at Town Hall. So I would like to proceed to,
So,
I'm not even sure how to put this.
so maybe, you know, to Peter's point, I'll tell everyone not to eat lead paint chips. I mean, I know you were kind of joking, Peter, but I mean, that's a good point. Nobody's going to be doing that. But maybe we start out with just the air quality piece, which they had listed separately. I think the quality was for $1,075. Maybe we start there. It comes back and they say air quality's fine, or it comes back and says, oh, you got some issues, and you go further. That might be a halfway measure.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think the lead paint is almost a given considering the age of the building. And I don't think there's a great danger of any employees eating the paint. So that would be the only way you could get it is if you ingested it. So, but the air quality certainly. Would you find out, Jeannie, what that entails exactly? Do they think they need to start tearing out walls? Can they do an air quality test? How does that work?
Well, they bid on two different, when they gave us the bid, there were two bids. One was for the air quality portion, and the other was for lead and asbestos. So what I'm suggesting is we just do the air quality one, which is $1,975. Peter's got his hand raised, and Tim has his hand raised.
We'll start with Peter.
I'll make a motion. We approve the Lawson Group proposal P26073 in the amount of $1,790 for an air quality study for the Tilton Town Hall.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. John?
Yeah, let's see. I'm not muted. One of the things we want to do is, if we wouldn't want to proceed with putting in the HVAC splits, if we determine that there's an air quality, we might have to go another route, install some type of air purifier or air cleaner. It would behoove us to, do all that at once, as opposed to putting one thing in, then realize we have to install a different thing. Is that possible to delay that then till after the air quality?
The air conditioning?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Okay, is there anybody else?
Tim?
Yeah, so just as an aside, I can tell you, having been here many late nights and been a little on the hungry scale, that when you go looking around, just about anything they'll do. Trust me, I've looked around with a salt shaker a couple of times. So anyway, the only thing I'm really concerned about is like when we have the company in here doing the phones and the cabling, things like that. They're going to be stirring up stuff that's above the ceilings, or in various areas. So and we'll try to schedule it so it's at a time when there's not many people around. But I mean, that or when other people are working up in that ceiling area, whoever they might be, that's when things generally get stirred up, albeit for a short time.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none. Roll call vote. Constantino,
Constantino, yes.
Bog, yes.
Jessamine, yes. Ira?
Ira, yes.
Scanlon,
John?
yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Jeannie?
All right, thank you. So the other two items on my action list, I drafted a emergency COVID-19 employee travel policy. This is based on guidance from NHMA, the CDC, DHHS, and what other communities are doing. We don't know how long this will go on, and we should probably have a travel policy in place. That's one for you to look at. If you don't like it, we don't have to do it. I'm just suggesting it. The second policy is an ADA policy, and again, was a reference to an employee manual, but I'm asking Gail to find the policy. We have one, so I drafted one, again, based on information provided by NHMA, guidance on that. So those two policies I drafted for you to look at. I'm not asking you to decide on that tonight. If you want to just read through it, if you have questions, concerns, again, next week if you don't want to do it. But I'm just putting it out there for you. Pat has her hand raised.
Pat?
I do have a couple of questions. First of all, we do have a policy. We worked extensively on the American with Disabilities Act policy somewhere in town hall, but I'm very pleased with what you did here. So that could override what we have, so that's fine. But I do have one question, and I'm not sure. It's just really a question. I really like the emergency COVID employee travel policy, but do we need number 3 in there? You may request permission from your immediate supervisor to report to work 48 hours. Are we sort of kind of giving them, let me just ask you this, what's your reasoning behind putting that in there as a short-term buy here?
So that specifically speaks to our, let's say, first responders or emergency people, that if we need them back at work, that this will serve in place to allow them to come back. It isn't necessarily for everyone, Pat, but that is supposed to address the first responders.
So that gives us the window for our essential people.
Correct. Thank
Okay,
you.
got it. Okay, got it. All
I
right.
have a question.
Go, Eric.
Eric?
I don't see it here, but should it state who pays for the test?
Well, if we are requiring somebody to come back to work, if we require them to get the test, then we have to pay for the test. I had that conversation with, the folks who know about what we're responsible for and what we're not. And if we require them to have a test, come back to work, then we have to pay for it.
But We didn't send them out of town. They chose to go out of town, so they should pay for the test.
Well, yeah, portion of going out of town, but, are you talking about the first, are you talking about number 3, or are you talking about just in general?
In general.
Well, I can check on that. But I think that how it speaks to it there, because it says they have to self-quarantine. Or, they have to self-quarantine or show us a negative test. But to your point, are we responsible for that? I'll check. I don't think we are, unless it is something we require them to do.
I agree with you, Jeannie. I don't think that we're responsible for paying for them unless, in fact, that you are requiring them themselves. If they go on a trip and they come back and they've come in contact with somebody, it's their responsibility to, as an adult and as an employer, to have that test and make sure that if it's required for them to return back to work, then it's on them to pay for that. And we've had those circumstances here in town anyway. So they've paid for those tests out of their pocket. So
Okay, Jeannie?
So I will just track that down just to confirm it, answer Eric's question just to confirm it. So if you all could, Peter's got his hand up.
Yes, item 2, can we strike 14 days and replace it with current CDC guidelines? Because I think there's talk of 10 days, you see 10, 14, it keeps changing. It shows you they have no clue.
Sure, I can check on that. I thought it was this, unless something's changed, this is where I got it from. But yeah, I don't know.
This is in the last day or two that I've seen that somewhere in the news.
The state of New
7
Hampshire.
to 10 days now. 7
So
to
if we
10
do
days.
current CDC guidelines, it's better than setting a date that may or may not be correct.
Okay.
All right, excellent. You still got it, Jeannie.
All right. So that's it for my action items. I won't go through the FYIs other than to ask the question because I had asked it before. I don't have anything in my notes that gave me any direction, but the ice rink has not been installed because of the weather. It is going to be installed. I went over to the site today and talked to the site manager to clear out, an access area for when that rink gets set up, that people can get to, because right now there's construction materials, and he said he could do that to smooth out the land. But there is no place for anyone to park. So if they're going to use the ice rink, they're going to have to park on the field, unless you have some other suggestion, because the current area on that side of the field is a mud, and it's going to be, and it has construction equipment. We're delayed with the opening, so that's still active construction site right now. Peter's got his hand raised.
Peter?
We can park out on 132. It just may entail DOT following up, Public Works following up DOT to push the banks far enough to park there. In past years when the rink's been up, people will park in that back lot at Tanger. We've never had any complaints from them for people doing that also. So we can stay away from the PD stuff and stay out of their way.
Okay, and that sounds great. One question. I think there's a fence around the whole property. Has that always been there? I just never noticed it. So they would walk down 132?
No, if you look closely at each end, you can walk by it. It's not totally closed off.
So that, does that sound like the plan then? They can park at the Tanger or along 132, and as soon as the weather permits, Put that ice rink in, and like I say, the construction company said they will clear it out so people have access. Yes?
Yes.
Right. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you ever so much. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we move on to other business. Is there any other, John?
Yes, other business. We sent out some letters for things, documents to be signed. One of them, the parking ordinance. And what happens is, and I brought this up before, is we get the documents and they get signed. And once you have 3 signers, it becomes an ordinance. I brought to the attention that in section F1I, it says that you can park with your left tires to the curb on the east side of the common. We have a common, and so that if we don't have something we're referring to as a common, that shouldn't be in there. Or is it, anywhere east of the park, so I think that should be stricken. The other one was the contract for Birch Hill, which was signed. I don't know if it already went through, but that had an error in there saying that they would be open, their normal business hours are from 8 a.m. till 12 a.m. that people can pick up their pets and that. So that would be from 8 in the morning till 12 midnight, when actually it should have read 8 a.m. till noon. The other one was the intent to cut from Silveria. Numbers 3 and 6 were not completed, and that was another one which received the signatures, which allows it to go through, but no discussion or review of it. So we could have some problems here.
So, speak to that, Mr. Chairman? So
Yes.
Thank you. Relative to Birch Hill, you did have that discussion, John. You brought it forward. I did speak with Birch Hill. I thought I had communicated that to the board. The contract had already been signed. Birch Hill confirmed that they had made an error. I printed out a copy of their email noting that and attached it to the already signed contract. So going forward in the next contract, will be the right way, but right now I felt like it was addressed because the email acknowledges the error and it's attached to the contract. Relative to the ordinance, the snow removal ordinance, we only made the one change. We did not, the intent was not to go through that whole ordinance looking for making a complete update. It was something, an issue we addressed because and we wanted to get it corrected because of the upcoming winter and wanting to make sure that this town was protected and covered. And so that's why we made sure that language was in there. We did not look at the rest of that ordinance. If this board would like to go through every ordinance, I'm happy to do that. We can take one ordinance at a time and go through it, line by line and make those corrections. But that was not, we did not specifically look at the word common. I wasn't concerned about that. I mean, I didn't notice it, but I was more concerned about what could be a potential problem this winter season based on what happened last season. So that's why we made that addition to that language, and we didn't look at anything else. And then the third item that you mentioned, item 3 and 6, I believe that I'll have to go back and check with Gail, but I did bring that to her attention, and I believe that was corrected as well. So I guess what I'm saying to all of you is, I do listen to what you say, and I do try my hardest to get these things taken care of, and I don't always, in the course of everything else that's going on, maybe don't get back to you on every little single thing, but I am trying, as you tell me what to do, I write it down and I try to get it done and try to report back to you on it. But, you know, every once in a while I may miss something.
So I'd like to make a motion that we strike F1I, east side of the common, that statement from the parking ordinance.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Is there any discussion?
Just seems like a quick clerical to just straighten out some ordinance stuff so that it is correct, so nobody challenges it with other stuff.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. There's a motion on the floor. Selectman Constantino,
Right here. Yes, Constantino, yes.
Yes.
Councilman, yes. Ira,
Ira, yes.
Scanlon,
Scanlon, yes.
the motion carries.
And excuse me. So could we get a copy of the intent to cut that's been completed and then re-sign that?
Yes.
Anything else under other business?
I had a question.
Eric,
Just curious, we're at December 3rd, Tim. Not to blindside you, but how are tax revenues looking for the second half?
Good question. We've had some very early payments. In fact, some large ones. So far, I'd say it's so good. We're also looking at how many returns that we've had. We've seen a higher incidence of return checks for insufficient funds that were paid electronically. I should say marginally higher. So we're keeping an eye on it. But otherwise, I'd say that so far, it's steady and it looks like a typical kind of receipt, the typical early birds. We did get one big bank with a lot of mortgage payment taxes in it very, very early, right after the taxes were put out. So that was a little unusual. So that was good.
Thank you.
I'll try to have a more solid update for you as we get into a little further. But I am keeping an eye on it. I'm just not, Jeannie and I had discussed to what granularity we should be watching that. As you know, before I was looking at all the top taxpayers and tracking every payment for the first tax bill. I'm not doing it to that extent this time, but I'm keeping a little higher level eye on it. Just with everything else going on, but certainly let you know if there's any concerns and try to report on it later on for you.
Thank you.
is there any other business to come before us? Hearing none. The time being 6:28 p.m., I'd like to make a motion to move into non-public session for RSA 91-A, semicolon 3, paragraph 2A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employee or the investigation of any charges against them. And RSA 91-A, semicolon 3, paragraph 2C, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely adversely affect the reputation of any person other than a member of the Board of Selectmen, unless such person requests an open meeting. I expect to be back into public session at approximately 8 p.m. Is there a second?
Constantino, second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? John, have you got, oh, all right. All right, hearing none. Roll call vote. Constantino.
Constantino, yes.
Hog, yes.
Oh, Jessamine, yes. Ira.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon.
Scanlon, yes.
The vote is unanimous. We are in non-public session. I'll see you over there.
This conference will now be recorded.
We are back in session at 7:17 p.m. Surprise. I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public meeting of December 3rd, 2020, because the reasons justifying the need for the non-public session still remain. Is there a second?
Hog, second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Roll call vote.
Constantino,
Constantino.
yes.
Hog, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Okay, if there's no other business, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 7:17 p.m. Is there a second?
Hog,
Constantino,
second.
Go ahead.
All right, the motion to adjourn is non-debatable. Roll call vote.
Constantino, yes.
Hog, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Ira, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
We stand adjourned. Tim, if you could shut us off.
Yeah, just shut off the recording, Tim, because we're going to